Welcome to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner. On this show, we use the Triggator philosophy to help you build a spending plan that fits your life, build your savings and investments, and knock out debt with confidence. Has your bank account ever felt like a magician's hat? Swipe and it's gone? If so, today's episode is for you. We're diving into a phenomenon I call swipe fatigue. That brain fog, emotional exhaustion, and weird sense of spending amnesia that comes from a world where everything is cashless, contactless, and just one click away. Let's be honest, technology has made spending way too easy. You don't have to even pull out your wallet anymore. Just tap your phone and boom, $32 of takeout is on its way. It's frictionless, but it's also a little dangerous. Because here's what's happening behind the scenes. We're swiping faster than we can process. We're losing the emotional sting of spending. And we're wondering why everything feels more expensive. Why, even when the total hasn't changed. It's not always inflation. Sometimes it's desensitization. So, in today's episode, we're tackling why digital payments are draining more than your dollars, how to rebuild spending awareness without ditching your debit card, and how to use friction, intention, and the Triggator Triangle to fight back against swipe fatigue. We'll unpack the psychology and give you the tools that help your brain and your budget stay aligned. So if your spending feels like a blur, your energy's in the red, and you keep asking, where did all my money go? Grab a cup of coffee, not the $7 kind unless that's in your plan, and let's get into it. Because budgeting isn't about going backward. It's about getting back in control. Swipe, tap, repeat. Why we're burned out on buying. Let's talk about the quiet exhaustion that's creeping into our wallets and our brains. You know the feeling. You're not buying crazy stuff, just the usual. Groceries, gas, a couple of Target runs that are mostly essential, and yet your spending plan is blown, your savings goals stalled, and you're staring at your bank app like it's betrayed you. That, my friend, is swipe fatigue. And it's not just in your head. Cashless convenience comes at a cost. We live in a world of one-click checkouts, auto renewals, mobile pay, tap-and-go cards, and digital wallets that don't even require a fingerprint anymore. The goal, to make spending as painless as possible. But here's the twist. When spending has no friction, it also has no feeling. In a 2021 MIT study, they found that people spent up to 100% more when paying with a card than with cash. Other research out of the Journal of Consumer Research showed that physical money creates what's called a pain of paying, a psychological signal that helps you regulate your spending. Take away that signal, and guess what? You spend more, notice less, and feel less satisfied with what you bought. That's not budgeting failure, that's neuroscience. Let's try something together, just for fun. Picture your wallet. Now, imagine inside are 20 crisp Benjamin Franklins. That's $2,000 in cold, hard cash. Feels kind of nice, right? Or maybe a little stressful? How would you feel walking around with that kind of money in your pocket? Nervous? Extra alert, double checking that your wallet hasn't vanished? If you're like me, anytime I've carried what felt like a substantial amount of cash, my mission became very clear. Get it somewhere safe. No detours, no pit stops, straight to the bank like I'm guarding the crown jewels. Now, let me flip the script on you. What's available in your credit card limit? $2,000? $5,000? Maybe more? And if your answer is, Nate, I cut up my credit cards, high five, you're ahead of the game. So let's talk about debit cards. What is your current bank balance? Or your Apple Wallet, Google Pay? Does walking around with that much spending power on plastic or in pixels feel the same as carrying $2,000 in bills? Nope. Because cash is emotional. It's real. It has weight, texture, consequence. You break $100 and suddenly it's Jacksons and Lincolns, and they just don't behave the same. You've been trained, encouraged even, to move away from cash. And sure, there are plenty of reasons: convenience, speed, safety, tracking. But in that process, we've lost something powerful: the awareness that spending has a cost. And that brings us to a phenomenon that's creeping in fast: tap and go inflation. And here's where it gets tricky. Even when prices stay the same, your emotional cost goes up. Why? Because our brains aren't built for this kind of spending speed. We're not wired to process 17 microtransactions a day. And when those transactions are invisible, digital receipts, auto drafts, tiny pings on your watch, you start to lose track. Enter tap and go inflation. While it's true that costs do go up with inflation, it's not always about the rising prices. It's about how it feels like your money is disappearing faster than ever. Your $6 daily coffee no longer feels like a decision. It feels like a reflex. Your weekly grocery run becomes a tap and scroll delivery fee party. And at the end of the month, you're exhausted, over budget, and wondering, wait, did I even buy anything fun? The brain can't keep up. Here is what's really going on. Swipe fatigue is your brain waving the white flag. It's decision fatigue that meets financial fog. Instead of reflecting on your spending, your brain starts to numb it. You don't feel the micro regret or the micro joy, just blur. Over time, you disconnect from your own plan. You know what this reminds me of? That episode of The Office where Dwight says, "I'm not a hero. I'm a mere defender of the office." You know who's a real hero? Hero from Heroes. Okay, not the most relevant quote, but you get the point. We're playing defense against a system designed to speed up spending and dull awareness. And when the Triggator Triangle is based on intentional budgeting, saving, and debt payoff, that's a problem. Because you can't assign a dollar or a purpose if you don't even remember where it went. The hidden alligators in the trap. Here's where swipe fatigue becomes dangerous. It masks the hijackers, those tiny spending patterns that derail your biggest goals. It feeds and multiplies alligators that you didn't plan for. It drains your triangle, leaving less for debt payoff, less for savings, and more chaos in your budget corner. And it all happens without a single physical dollar changing hands. Here's some real stats and some real impact. Let's zoom out for a second. According to a 2023 report by Deloitte, 85% of US consumers prefer digital payment methods over cash. And among Gen Z and millennials, that number jumps to over 90%. But while the swipe rate rises, financial clarity plummets. In a 2024 NerdWallet survey, 43% of Americans say they often forget about a charge until it shows up on their statement. Another 31% admitted they don't check their spending at all between paychecks. That's not laziness, it's fatigue. And in Triggator terms, that's how your paycheck gets hijacked before it hits your account. Even the juice boxes are auto-renewing. Let me tell you a quick story about Rob. Names have been changed to protect the innocent. A couple of months ago, his wife asked why they had 3 different kids' snack subscriptions arriving every month. Rob thought he only had one. Turns out one was Amazon Subscribe and Save, one was a Walmart auto reorder, and the third was something he accidentally signed up for when he saved 10% today during checkout. So every month, juice boxes were showing up like clockwork. Were they grateful for the juice? Sure, but were they actually intending to spend $84 a month on pouches and granola bars? Nope. That's swipe fatigue in action. They weren't buying juice, they were subscribing to unawareness. This should show you friction isn't the enemy. Friction is your budget's secret weapon. Reintroducing friction, how to get back in control without going full cash envelope. So now that we've discussed the problem, this emotional fog that comes from endless swiping, what do we do about it? Do we go all in full 2006 and pull out the envelope starter kit and start stuffing envelopes like it's the only way? Well, maybe, but also maybe not. Let me tell you something a little personal. There was a season in my financial journey where my wife and I did go full cash envelope. Groceries, envelope. Household items, envelope. Clothing, yep, envelope. And let me tell you, it did work, because when the envelope was empty, we were done. It was like built-in accountability. No overdrafting on an envelope. No accidental Target runs. No, just a little extra here and there. If the cash wasn't there, the purchase didn't happen, period. But here's the key. We didn't use cash forever. We used it until we built the muscle, the discipline to be intentional, not impulsive. The cash envelopes gave us training wheels that eventually helped us to ride with control, even when we switched back to plastic. Now, we did keep one category on a card, gas. But even then, we kept the cash mindset. That debit card was just for fuel, nothing else. And when the tank was full and the money was gone, that was it. We waited until the next refill cycle. This isn't about being old school or rigid. It's about adding friction on purpose, because friction creates pause, and pause is where intention lies. Why friction works. Let's unpack that a little deeper. Friction is anything that slows down your spending just long enough for your brain to catch up with your wallet. And it's one of the most powerful tools that can add to your spending plan. Because in the war against swipe fatigue, you're not fighting spending itself. You're fighting mindless spending. Adding friction puts your conscious brain back in the driver's seat. Some practical ways to add friction without carrying an envelope for every category. Let's say you don't want to carry physical cash. That's totally fine. You can still add meaningful friction with modern tools. Use separate debit cards for specific categories: groceries, gas, spending money. Load them like digital envelopes. Delete saved payment methods from your Amazon, DoorDash, or other hijacker hotspots. Having to retype your card slows the impulse. Move the spending apps off your home screen. Adding one extra swipe is a small barrier, but it's still a barrier. Create a 24-hour rule. You don't buy anything over $50 or whatever amount makes sense to you without sleeping on it. Use gift cards for splurge categories, like dining out or entertainment. Load the card, and when it's empty, that's the plan. You don't have to go full Little House on the Prairie. You just need one extra step between you and your purchases. It's the pause where you ask, is this in the plan? Or is this fatigue spending? How this connects to the Triggator Triangle. Here's where it all ties back to your Triggator Triangle: budget, save, pay off debt. The triangle isn't just a concept. It's your measuring stick for every dollar that leaves your account. So if using cash helps you stay on plan, great, do that. If you prefer plastic and pixels, awesome. Just make sure your system adds friction where you need it most. The key is not the method, it's the intention. Because swipe fatigue happens when you stop asking, what's the purpose of this dollar? Your triangle is built on purpose. Budget equals cover what you need. Save equals stack for the future. Pay off debt equals free your income from the past. If swipe culture is numbing you out, then it's not helping your triangle. It's draining it. Friction doesn't get in the way. It gets you back on track. The emotional shift from reflex to responsibility. Let's zoom out again for a second. When you start adding friction, something powerful happens. You stop treating spending like a reflex and start treating it like a responsibility. And this isn't about shame or guilt. It's about clarity. Swipe fatigue says it's just $4.99. Friction says, wait, do I want to give $4.99 of my triangle to this? That tiny moment of thought can be the difference between overspending on autopilot and assigning with purpose. Now, Obi-Wan, he gets it. There's a moment in Star Wars Episode 4 where Obi-Wan tells Luke, "Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them." Well, guess what? So can your digital wallet. Let me throw in one of my favorite examples of a happy ping that, if left unchecked, can turn into a hijacker riding shotgun with swipe fatigue. As you probably gathered by now, I love saving money. So one day, I'm picking up Taco Bell from my family and bam, sticker shock. Prices have jumped since the last time I was there. Trying to help, the cashier says, "Hey, if you order that same box on the app, it's actually cheaper." Now, me being me, I love a good deal, so I download the app for next time. Fast forward, I'm back at the drive-thru and I order through the app. I feel proud of the couple of bucks I saved, and then ding, the Taco Bell signature bell rings. That little sound hit me in the feels. Suddenly, I wasn't a dad in a minivan ordering food. I was 17 again, cruising with my buddies after the football game, splitting a $10 grande meal and feeling like kings. Any Gen X out there knows what I mean. Just for a moment, their marketing mission was accomplished. I wasn't thinking about the cost. I wasn't thinking about my spending plan. I was thinking about the emotion, the memory, the nostalgia. And then my kids started heckling me about my excitement over the fast food app, and I snapped back into reality. But the lesson stuck. Those smooth swipes, happy pings, and colorful checkout buttons, they're not your friends. They're designed to bypass your budget and plug into your brain. But your spending plan, that's your training saber. It slows you down, helps you see clarity. And just like a Jedi, it teaches you how to use the force of financial intention. Intentional spending, how to rewire your relationship with money and actually enjoy it again. So far, we've diagnosed the problem, swipe fatigue. We've introduced some ways to fight back, looking at like adding friction and choosing intention over impulse. Now let's take it deeper, because the goal here isn't to stop spending, it's to reconnect with your money in a way that actually feels good again. Not guilty, not stressful, not like a game of guess the balance. We're talking about intentional spending, on purpose, with purpose, and yes, even for things that bring you joy. Let's flip the script on what budgeting is supposed to feel like. Why you're not broken, you're just disconnected. Here's the truth that a lot of budgeting gurus won't tell you. Most people don't overspend because they're reckless. They overspend because they're disconnected. Disconnected from their plan. Disconnected from their values. Disconnected from what the purchase really is doing to their goals. And when they're swiping without thinking, tapping without assigning, spending without feeling, they can't make progress because your brain is just reacting. So let's replace reaction with reflection. Let's make spending personal again. It's the best possible way. 3 questions to reconnect your spending. Next time you're about to spend money, ask yourself, first, what need or value is this meeting? Is it a convenience, comfort, celebration, avoidance, nostalgia? Yes, I'm looking at you, Taco Bell. Second, is it aligned with my triangle? Does it support my budget, build savings, or help me knock out debt? Third, would I be proud of this purchase if I reviewed it with the future me? Not guilty, not ashamed, just proud of the attention behind it. You don't have to say no to everything fun. You just have to start saying yes on purpose. Because swipe fatigue says, it feels like something I want. Intentional spending says, it is something I value. The weekly reset, bring awareness back. Let's turn this into a rhythm. I call it the weekly reset. Once a week, same day, same time, check in with your plan. Don't overthink it. Just ask, where is my money going this week? Did I feed all 3 sides of my Triggator Triangle? Did I spot any fatigue swipes? What adjustments should I make for the next week? This isn't a guilt trip, it's a growth practice. Swipe fatigue thrives on silence. Awareness breaks the silence. And once you start doing it weekly, your confidence skyrockets. You stop wondering where your money went and start directing it where it goes next. Joy is allowed. Seriously. Let's be clear. Joy belongs in your budget. If you're trying to white knuckle your way to financial success by cutting all the fun, you're not building a plan. You're building a resentment sandwich. You didn't start budgeting to become a robot. You started budgeting to feel in control, to worry less, to enjoy life more. So yes, add joy to your plan. Even if it's just $10 a paycheck, call it your flex fund, a coffee fund, a mom needs to leave the house alone fund, whatever makes sense in your life. When joy is intentional, it's empowering. When joy is mindless, it's draining. Assign your joy. Don't autopay it. The freeze card trick. If you're really struggling to regain control, I've got an idea that may sound silly, but trust me, it works. Freeze your debit card. Not the app freeze, not a digital block. I mean, literally, put it in a bag of water and toss it in the freezer. Why? Because nothing melts faster than regret. If you truly need the card, you can thaw it out. But that process takes time. It adds friction, time, and clarity. Time is your moment to ask, do I really want this? Not into freezing? Fine. Put your card in the glove box, lock it in a safe, slide it under your dog's food bowl. Whatever adds just enough friction to create a pause. That's your power move. Not to stop you forever, but to stop you long enough to make a wise decision. The Triggator mindset, assign before you swipe. Here's where it all lands. Assign dollars before you swipe them. Because if a dollar doesn't have a job, it'll find one, usually involving caffeine or clearance. That's why paycheck-based planning is so powerful. Every time money comes in, you give it purpose. Budget, bills, food, gas, essentials. Save, emergency fund, alligators, future joy. Pay off debt, snowball, avalanche, Triggator style. The more dollars you assign with intention, the fewer that drift away in fog and fatigue. And remember, intention doesn't kill fun, it powers it. As Maya Angelou said, and yes, we're bringing her in here, when you know better, you do better. And when every dollar has a mission, you do better. All right, it's challenge time. Here's your mission for today. Step 1, identify one area that you're experiencing swipe fatigue. It could be takeout, impulse Amazon buys, or a streaming subscription that you have forgotten to cancel. Whatever it is, call it out. Step 2, create your friction action plan. That could mean deleting the app, moving your card, switching to gift cards, or implementing a 24-hour wait rule. Step 3, practice your plan before the swipe moment hits. Remember back in grade school when you did fire drills? You practiced so when the real emergency happened, you weren't panicking, you were prepared. Swipe fatigue is no different. Your plan might feel silly at first, but it's your fire drill of financial clarity. Practice now so when emotion tries to override intention, you already know what to do. Because when it comes to your money, you don't need to be perfect, you need prepared. Let's connect. What's your swipe fatigue zone? What's your new friction strategy? And what actually happened when you put your debit card in the freezer? Email me at Triggator.com or send me a DM at Triggator on Instagram, X, or Facebook. And while you're there, be sure to follow us. I love hearing your wins, wipeouts, and Taco Bell confessions every step of your journey. If today's episode helped you feel a little more in control and a little less foggy, here's what to do next. Subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Leave a review, especially if you've ever rage checked your bank account after a weekend of just a few things. Share this with a friend who's spending without realizing, swiping without thinking, and wondering where their money keeps disappearing. Let's help each other live more and worry about money less. Coming up next time, School, supplies, and surprise fees. Back to school budgeting without the panic. I know what you're thinking, but Nate, school just got out. That's exactly why we're talking about this now, because time is your best friend when dealing with alligators. In this next episode, we'll cover how to spot the surprise fees before they pounce, when to shop and when to wait, using alligator funds to crush next year's chaos, and how to teach your kids to budget for their own school wants without becoming the no-fun parent. If back to school season ever wrecked your plan, this one's for you. Remember, a swipe feels fast, but a plan lasts. Give your dollars direction, and they'll take you somewhere that matters. Thanks for listening to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner. We'll see you next time.